In 1950, somewhere above the Balkan Mountains, Anatole Zsa-Zsa Korda, a powerful arms dealer and industrialist, survives yet another assassination attempt. He's flying in his private plane when a bomb explodes, blowing a hole in the fuselage. The pilot panics, but Zsa-Zsa throws him out and crash lands the plane in a cornfield. He survives, as he always does, but for a few moments he is unconscious, and in that short time, he sees the afterlife. There, a mysterious court seems to judge him, and it becomes clear Zsa-Zsa's time is running out. This is not the first attempt on his life. Zsa-Zsa is hated by governments all over the world. He's made enemies everywhere through shady deals, war profiteering, tax evasion, and secret agreements. He's known as Mr. 5% because he always takes a cut, no matter how small or dirty the deal. A secret global group has one goal: destroy Zsa-Zsa's empire once and for all, with the operation led by a man named Excalibur. Realizing that his death might come soon, Zsa-Zsa decides he can't outrun fate forever. So he turns to the one person he hasn't ruined completely, his daughter, Liesel. Liesel is a novice nun who hasn't seen her father in years. Zsa-Zsa sent her away to a convent when she was just 5. Many believe he also murdered her mother, though he swears he didn't. Zsa-Zsa summons Liesel to his estate and tells her she's his sole heir. He wants her to leave the church and take over his legacy. Liesel is shocked and angry. She doesn't trust him and doesn't want his money, but she's curious, and something inside her pushes her to listen. Liesel meets her 9 half-brothers, who live in a dormitory like abandoned toys. She also meets Bjorn, a polite and quiet Norwegian entomologist hired as a tutor. He seems kind, even charming. Zsa-Zsa shows Liesel the Phoenician Scheme, his biggest plan ever. He wants to rebuild the infrastructure of a fictional nation called Phoenicia, using slave labor and corrupt contracts. He keeps his whole plan in labeled shoeboxes, one for each part of the project, one for each investor. It's grand, dangerous, and clearly illegal. At first, Liesel refuses to help, but Zsa-Zsa tells her that his old enemy and half-brother, Nubar, may be behind her mother's murder. That changes everything. Liesel agrees to travel with him, not to take over his empire, but to uncover the truth and maybe get justice. Liesel also sets some conditions on her father, one being her half-brothers be brought into the household and live with them. Then something unexpected happens. Excalibur conspires to drive up the price of building materials, which threatens to bankrupt Zsa-Zsa. Now, to fill the gap, he must ask the other investors to cover for him. The group sets off. With them is Bjorn, acting as secretary and carrying Zsa-Zsa's cash-filled rucksack. Their first stop is a secret meeting inside a train tunnel with Prince Farouk and 2 powerful financiers, Leland and Reagan. These men are furious. Zsa-Zsa secretly changed the contract, increasing their investment without telling them. To settle the argument, they play a game of basketball. It's tense, ridiculous, and dramatic. Zsa-Zsa is terrible at this game, and Farouk has never even played the game before. Against the odds, Farouk scores the winning shot. The deal holds. The investors agree to pay, but not enough. The financial gap in Zsa-Zsa's scheme remains. Next, they fly to meet Marseille Bob, a shady nightclub owner, and another investor. But as soon as they arrive, terrorists burst in, shooting up the place and robbing everyone. Zsa-Zsa takes a bullet meant for Bob, and the shot is slowed by a stack of papers in his jacket. Bob is moved by Zsa-Zsa's sacrifice. He digs the bullet out himself and agrees to cover more of the budget. Again, it's not enough. Zsa-Zsa is still short. They travel to meet another investor, Marty. Zsa-Zsa tries to negotiate but collapses due to blood loss. Zsa-Zsa experiences another vision of the afterlife with Liesel on stand, recalling a memory of her mother, and he realizing that he is the one on trial. Zsa-Zsa wakes up and sees that Marty is transfusing his blood. Zsa-Zsa decides to tell Liesel the terrible truth. Years ago, he discovered her mother was having an affair with his brother Nubar. To get revenge, Zsa-Zsa spread a lie that she was also sleeping with someone else, his own assistant. Nubar believed the lie and killed them both. Zsa-Zsa didn't do the murder himself, but he knows he's to blame. Liesel is furious. She slaps him twice, but she also sees the broken man beneath the villain. She decides to stay, just long enough to make sure Nubar pays for what he did. Zsa-Zsa tries to pressure Marty into helping. When the deal falls apart, Zsa-Zsa pulls out a live grenade and threatens to blow himself up. The room goes silent. Marty gives in. Still, the project isn't fully funded. Zsa-Zsa gets desperate. He proposes marriage to his cousin Hilda, who controls part of the family fortune. Hilda agrees, but refuses to invest. Even this risky plan doesn't solve the gap in funding. As they fly again, the pilot is poisoned, and a fighter jet appears beside the plane. The sabotage has reached a new level. The plane crashes in the jungle. Miraculously, everyone survives. Here, Bjorn confesses. He's actually Agent Carson from Delaware, working for Excalibur against Zsa-Zsa all along. But now he wants to switch sides. He's fallen in love with Liesel and believes in her cause. Zsa-Zsa attacks him but ends up sinking into quicksand. Zsa-Zsa experiences another vision before Bjorn saves him, and the three set up camp together in the wild. That night, they talk. All of them carry pain from childhood. Zsa-Zsa begins to reflect on his life, his greed, his emptiness. Liesel wants to go back to the church. She doesn't want this madness anymore, but before she can leave, a band of guerrillas, led by the same group from the nightclub, rescues them and brings them home. Back home, Liesel meets with the Mother Superior, hoping to return. But the mother says Liesel doesn't belong there anymore. Her expensive rosary, her dagger, her worldly presence. These things mean she isn't meant for the religious life. Liesel is dismissed from the order. But nonetheless, Zsa-Zsa decides to accept religion into his life after experiencing all these visions, which brings Liesel and Zsa-Zsa closer. The final stage of Zsa-Zsa Korda's massive scheme is about to begin. All the investors are arriving at the luxurious Desert Oasis Palace Hotel to witness the launch of the Phoenician infrastructure project. Zsa-Zsa, Liesel, and Bjorn are back together, but tensions are high. Zsa-Zsa is out of money. The scheme still has a huge gap in funding. Worse, his half-brother Nubar, the man Liesel believes killed her mother, is about to arrive. Before the big presentation, Zsa-Zsa, Liesel, and Bjorn are pulled aside to deal with a new threat. One of Zsa-Zsa's old assassins is caught in the hotel. Before they can get answers, the man takes a cyanide pill and dies. Zsa-Zsa now knows someone is still trying to kill him, and Nubar might be behind it. Before entering Nubar's private suite, Zsa-Zsa reveals that he might not be Liesel's actual father, and that her father might be Nubar, which Liesel already suspects. Zsa-Zsa proposes if Liesel isn't his biological daughter, would she consider getting officially adopted by him, and she agrees. They enter Nubar's suite, which is full of secrets and shadows. Liesel is hoping for clarity, maybe even closure. Nubar denies being her father, but admits that Liesel's mother had many affairs, including one with Zsa-Zsa's assistant, who may be her real father. The truth hurts. The family is more broken than Liesel ever imagined. Back to business, Zsa-Zsa proposes that Nubar cover the remaining gap, but Nubar refuses. After the meeting, Zsa-Zsa makes a surprising decision. He decides to fund the entire remaining budget himself. This means losing everything, his fortune, his empire, his legacy. But something inside him has changed. Maybe for the first time in his life, Zsa-Zsa wants to do the right thing. He wants to build something real, something lasting. He also announces he will begin paying the workers who were meant to be slaves and ending the famine that he caused. He's going broke, but he doesn't care. He wants redemption. Then comes the twist. Nubar was behind all the assassination attempts. He confesses everything. The rivalry between the two brothers, the lies, the violence, it all leads to this moment. Nubar lunges at Zsa-Zsa with a poison capsule. The two fight, struggling for control. In the chaos, the capsule bursts and Nubar inhales the fumes. Poisoned, Nubar stumbles onto the scale model of the dam, holding a grenade. Everyone freezes, but instead of throwing it, Nubar has a sudden change of heart and decides to blow himself up. Zsa-Zsa has one final vision of the afterlife. This time, he's not alone. Liesel is with him, and she has finally accepted him as her father. The years of hurt, betrayal, and secrets don't vanish, but something new has taken their place: forgiveness. With the Phoenician scheme complete, the empire is gone. Zsa-Zsa is bankrupt, but he isn't broken. He and Liesel open a small restaurant together, a humble little bistro called Chez Zsa-Zsa. It's nothing like the lavish world they once knew, but it's peaceful, quiet, honest. Zsa-Zsa's 9 sons, long ignored and kept in the background, finally get the love and attention they've always needed. Liesel becomes their protector, their teacher, and their sister. They no longer live in the dormitory like abandoned children. They are finally a family. As for Bjorn, now revealed as Agent Carson, he leaves his life of espionage behind. He becomes a teacher, sharing his love of bugs with the next generation. He uses what he once pretended to be, an entomologist, as his real future. The act has become the truth. Hilda, who briefly married Zsa-Zsa for the sake of his scheme, has the marriage annulled. She goes off to start her own camp, independent and proud. Before leaving, she gives her ring back to Bjorn. He uses it to propose to Liesel, and she says yes. Liesel writes one last letter to the Mother Superior. In it, she talks about everything that has happened. She reflects on the strange journey she's taken, from convent to corruption and back again. She doesn't regret her choices. She has grown. She has changed, and she has found a new path. As the day ends, Liesel and Zsa-Zsa sit down together at their bistro. They play cards side by side, not as enemies or strangers, but as a father and daughter. They've both lost a lot, but in the end, they found something far more important: a second chance.